there is going to come a point in your life when you're going to deal with someone that is just an asshole. Like prickly, or they're easily annoyed, or they have no patience for you. It's just going to happen. And so I wanted to share a story of mine that is applicable to that. Maybe you'll get a chuckle out of it and how you deal with people like that. So I had a job in the past where, as any job goes, you have your first day and you're the new guy. And I remember, I was probably like a month into my job, and I quickly learned from my other coworkers about this one guy who everybody hates. Like, he's good at his job, but nobody likes him. He's very hard to work with, and that kind of person, right? And there was one day where I was just doing a task that I had to do, and I had not yet learned about this guy's temperament, and I did something that apparently annoyed him. And he had copied me on an email with my boss being like, your employee is doing an awful job. You need to deal with him right this moment. I'm like, I don't even know who this guy is. Like I just got here pretty much. I'm still learning how everything works. And I've got this guy here who is just putting me on the spot because he's just, that kind of person. And my initial reaction was like, what are you doing? What's wrong with you? But then I learned from my boss, who also hates this guy. And he's like, yeah, that's just kind of how he is. People just kind of have to put up with him. And I was like, oh, okay, fair enough. And then I learned over time to, tiptoe around this guy and, not make the same mistake and, always be careful, right? So there's a couple of directions to go with that. Well, for one, obviously, sometimes someone is just going to be annoying and you have to deal with it. But at the same time, it doesn't mean that you should just put up with things and be a doormat, There are certainly times where you've got to stand up for yourself. But what I've come to realize with people like that is there is a lot of power, and you're going to save yourself a lot of headaches if you give them the benefit of the doubt. And if you don't know what that phrase means, it's basically when, okay, I'm going to assume that this person is having a bad day, or they've got some sort of other reason that's not my fault why they're angry. I'm just going to give them the room to chill out, right? And with that coworker of mine, like, I don't know anything about the guy. Maybe he's had a really terrible life and he's always been this kind of bitter man. So maybe I just need to be a little bit more patient with him. Because I've found that whenever I'm dealing with someone and you can tell that they're just kind of being short with you, they're not really that friendly, it's typically going to do you well if you're just friendly with them, regardless of that, right? Like if I'm hungry and I go into a place like Chipotle and it's super busy, it's dinner rush, and I can tell that the people working there are probably stressed out, it's not going to do me any favors if I'm like, make me my food right this instant, being like all impatient and rude with them. Like, just give them the benefit of the doubt and say, you know what? Take your time, right? Or like another example is when I was at the gym, at least a year ago, and there was this one guy that came up to me, and like I had never met him before, but he was just kind of started talking to me. I don't know why. And I could have been like, dude, don't talk to me. I'm doing my workout right now. Like, leave me alone. But you know what? I'm just going to be patient with this guy and listen to him. I don't know why he's talking to me, but it will make you go much further in life, in my opinion, if you're just nice to people. You're not being so difficult, right? Because you're going to run into difficult people no matter what. But if you are receptive to them, it's more likely that they're going to be receptive back to you. Like with my old coworker that I mentioned earlier, if he's gone through his entire life being that, stubborn and prickly and annoying, then it's more likely that he's run into other people who are just going to give him that same energy back. If you are smiling and friendly and patient with people, it's more likely, I think, that they're going to be the same with you. Like, I'm about to move, and I was on the phone the other day with, one of the utility companies because I have to set up the utilities. And I've certainly had my fair share of working with people on the phone like that, like customer service reps where they hate their job and they're, not very friendly with me. But this woman was so nice. And, because of that, I was nice back to her. And we had a very pleasant exchange. And I'm not trying to, force this super elementary idea of like, be nice to people because it's so obvious, but it's more just like be mindful about how you are interacting with others, because I have found that it's true where the energy that you give out is what you typically attract. I mean, it's pretty similar to when I started my Minecraft server and I had all of these people coming in, and I was so pleasantly surprised by the amount of people who are nice and friendly and they're not, trying to start things, and then I talked to them. I'm like, you guys are so nice. Like, I don't know why I got so lucky with everyone, but they're like, well, I mean, when you make the kind of content that you do, you kind of attract these kinds of people. And I was like, well, okay, that's kind of true actually. So yeah, just think about the kind of people that you're attracting and just maybe be mindful of how you interact with people, because it might do you favors in the long run. All right, guys, I'll catch you later.